Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. Glad here on this Monday morning. Got a great week planned outdoors, and I hope you're looking forward to it as much as I am. I really enjoy doing this show and bringing you the best news as possible on the outdoors here in the Florida Panhandle. Our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center at the corner of Baldwin Road and Highway 77. Remember, check out all the things they do right there. Good folks over there. Now, high today be 89, low 78, and our water temperature is staying up around 87 degrees. I have a chart I put together last night to show you what we're talking about on that water temperature as we get ready for a sort of a pre-fall drop, we hope. Now, let's take a look at our tide chart brought to us by Kent, Forest Lawn Funeral Home and Cemetery. Our tides today is September the 15th. Folks, we're halfway through September. Can you believe that? We're looking at a high tide at 1:55 this morning and a low tide after lunch at about 1:30. Got a good strong tide. In fact, if you look at the whole week now, there could be some really good strong tides. Be some good fishing this week. And we're going into the last weekend also of scallop season. We'll talk more about that later too. Now, on every Monday we like to do our Monday moon forecast and tell what's going on with the moon. The 15th is right there in the middle of the page on the left over there. And you can see we're on a waning moon and it's sort of getting on. We're looking at a new moon. It's going to be like next week, like next Thursday will be the first part of the new moon. But I really get every morning when I get up and go outside to let my dog out, I look up at the moon. I just get a kick out. I've always done that since I was a kid, and it's been really pretty in the mornings and all. I can tell even without looking at a chart what the moon is doing because I'm in the same location every day. I know some of y'all do the same location, see that moon, and perhaps moving just a little bit each day, so I get a kick out of that. So anyway, I want to go ahead and on the phone, we're going to start the week off with a report from Captain Blair Morgan at Blue Water Outriggers, and we're going to see what's going on down there. And Blair's so good about he's on top of everything down there, and it's such a big area to cover. Good morning, Blair.
Good morning, Winston. How are you?
I'm doing well, buddy. How's everything with you?
Oh, I can't complain. We're still here, and the weather's been real pretty. And talking about the moon, it's been beautiful. Last weekend, it was a full moon, and it was coming up about 8 or 8:30 or 9 at night and staying up all night long. It was really pretty.
Yeah, I bet coming over St. Joe Bay, I bet that is beautiful.
Yeah, it is. And it was kind of stormy every afternoon, but by the time the moon came up, the clouds cleared up, so you could see the moon all night long. But anyways, talking about scalping, this is the last week of scalping over here, and people are still going, and some are getting them, some aren't. But I would like to let everybody know that maybe coming over here this weekend, the pull-off over there by the buffer preserve where everybody's been parking, right there beside the highway.
Yes.
And walking in, they have closed that now. They've got no parking signs up, and they got a bunch of parking barriers up. So if you plan on coming over here, you need to access the base at a different place.
Blair, I saw that the other day, and I'm glad you brought it up because I meant to mention it on the show. We've always talked about that sort of a dangerous area, and all of a sudden, I don't know if they had an accident down there and all, but something happened. They have put cones all along the side of the road.
Yeah, plus they got the signs up, and even though they did all that, there was still somebody parked down there yesterday. Some people can't read, I guess. But anyway, just want to let everybody know that. And but as far as fishing out here on the bay, there's not a whole lot of people fishing. There's a few fishing out here. They're catching some trout and some redfish on live bait. But over on the stump hole, Winston, out on the Cape, they're catching quite a few flounder right there off the rocks. And the bait of choice for that would be a bull minnow, just kind of like a Carolina rig.
Yes.
And they do have bull minnows down at Blue Water, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. For late summer and early fall, that's an excellent place to go fishing and an excellent way to fish.
Yeah, those fish, when they start migrating, they come right by that stump hole, and I don't know what it is actually about it, but I guess it's the way the beach is shaped or something right there. They congregate right there off those rocks, so.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get to right there. There's plenty of parking, and fishing's good.
Yeah, now, the construction is wrapping up a little bit. There's a lot more room, like you said, and people are doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, the redfish, speckled trout in the bay, much about that?
Over in Apalachicola Bay, there's a lot of people still catching trout and redfish over there, and of course the white trout, we talked about it before, you can go there and catch about all of them you want. And but the tarpon, they're still everywhere. Nobody's really fishing for them.
Wow.
And there's still some truffle tail running around over here. People going out, they still catching some of them.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, Blair, that sounds pretty good. I'm going to show some pictures a little bit later on in the show how triple tail can change its colors. And it's really fascinating. They've done some studies on it, showing us how triple tail can change its colors according to whatever environment it's in. So we're going to show those pictures later. Blair, thank you so much, but that's a real good report, and we're going to be getting down there. We hope to come maybe this weekend and get 1 or 2 scallops. So.
All right, well, good luck on them, and bring me about a gallon or two by the house of clean ones. I'd like that.
Okay, buddy, we'll do that. Take care. Thank you. Captain Blair Morgan, one of my childhood buddies from Quincy, Florida, and we grew up together and played around and all, and just a good boy. Glad we're still in contact with each other. Let's take our break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us this morning. Let's get started with some good pictures and really all these local stuff sent to us, and we appreciate this. I'm glad to share this with y'all. Let's start off with a really nice looking grouper here. That's healthy, isn't it? But look what it caught it on. This is Mark Thomas, and I don't know if you're from around here. You know that Thomas family. He's one of them. They've always been good fishermen for a couple of generations there. Mark Thomas caught it on his Penn 850. Good job there, Mark. That's a nice looking grouper. How about spear fishing? We talk about these local guys just fishing around some bridge pilings. This is some really, what's cool about this, they've got a good meal, they had a good time, and I'm glad to see them do this. Okay, there's some students here. Okay, now, this is a good one here. Let's see, this is Jane Hornsby. Now, those spearfishing was Austin Page and Chris Cook. I don't think I mentioned their name. Now, isn't it a great picture over here at Tyndall, over in East Bay? Jane Hornsby, she released that one. They caught a couple of nice reds and released. But look how big that spot is on that red. I thought that was really, really good. Good picture there. Here's Clark Whitehorn. This is called. You can see where he's at. He's right off the beach here. That is on the Everglades boat, and that's a good-looking grouper there for short. Now, this has nothing to do with the fishing, but this is one of my former students who's a paramedic over in Pensacola. He sent me this picture and said, this was an accident. I just want to put this in here, just a warning. This is some 14-year-old and 12-year-old on this thing, and now they were hurt pretty bad, but they both survived it. But it's just got he worked the accident. He's a paramedic, like I said, in Pensacola. He worked it, and they took a picture of it. And that four-wheeler just tell those kids to be careful and on those four-wheelers, because we're getting into the fall season. A lot of folks will be getting out on four-wheelers, so just wanted to put that one in there on that. Now look at this red snapper. This is a big one. This was released. This is Danny Mitchell. He released it. You can see he's on the head boat there, on one of the queen boats, and he said it swam away, and that was wonderful to hear. And they can, if you bring them up slow a lot of times and give them time to adjust, and we have to bring one up slow like this because it's the only way you're going to get them up. But he released it and said it did real good. So that's really good. So good job there. Just a couple of pictures of grouper, snapper, redfish, and all going on here in the Panhandle. So let's go ahead and we're getting behind a little bit. Let's go ahead and take our break now. We'll set up. We're going to do some other stuff, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Let's go over these dates now in the season, because we're talking about scallop season wrapping up. It's the last weekend of it, but it's also the first weekend of the early duck season. I've got them all written down here. Let me go over them one more time with you so everybody get it straight. Early duck season, Saturday, September the 20th through the 24th, okay? And then teal only. Stan was on here last week. Teal only, and he mentioned that September 25th through 28th. That's something new, but teal only on that, and which is added on after the early duck season. Goose season well underway. It goes through the 28th of this month. So you got them geese, they're legal to shoot. Now, remember on the bag limit early duck season, they raise the limit. It's no more than 6, and you can have an aggregate, but you cannot have more than 2 wood ducks in that 6 bag limit, okay? And then The next weekend is the opening phase of dove season, a little bit early because it used to be in October, but it's going to open on September the 27th, dove season, the first phase, and then second phase, and it'll go through exactly 1 month through October 27th, right at 30 days. Second phase November 8th, and third phase December 12th, and we'll talk about that as time goes along. I mentioned while I was talking to Blair about, I was looking up the triple-tail. Triple-tail is just a fascinating fish to me. I've caught some, haven't caught a whole lot of them, and not many people target them, and they're, you know, they're fascinating fish, and I'm not promoting fishing for them or against fishing for them. It's just a lot of times they're just hard to find at times. When you find them, they're fun to catch. And I was looking at some stuff last night, and University of Southern Mississippi, they do a great job with their marine science program, and I was not this aware that the triple tail will change color this much. I know all fish will change color from a sandy bottom to a mud bottom and all. But look at, I've got this triple tail. Look at 3 colors. Okay, this is color I'm sort of familiar with, like a dark, like a river, a dark river brim and all. So that's one color there. But then they also have sent this color in. That same triple tail fish, and how light they can get. Isn't that fascinating? Of course, they've netted these as part of their laboratory, and then they have one sort of in between, like a model color, so it looks sort of like a grouper color, and that's more like a camouflage color. So they are a lot of times, and they really don't know a whole lot about the triple tail, especially on the spawning process, like they do mullet and stuff like that. So it's a little fascinating fish, and we'll talk about it at times, but triple tail is good. Now, talking about fascinating things, everybody as a kid remember tadpoles and all. Okay, so we got this video of Wendy and Walter and Whitney and Matt, Whitney and Ashley and Mason all went to Econfina, and every community or every area has some of their favorite springs. It could be Blue Springs, Homosassa Springs, Econfina Springs. I wrote down all the springs. We have Silver Springs, Wakulla Springs, all kinds of springs, and we're blessed here in Florida to have all these springs. Well, this video, they went last week to over the weekend to Econfina, and they took the underwater camera, and it's for cast and call, but they let me borrow it to show, to give a preview, like a 3-minute video, and they got into some tadpoles, and you're going to be amazed at the photography of how many tadpoles are underwater and all this time of year. And of course, tadpoles, as a kid, you're just fascinated with them. You just watch them, you know, they do the leg first, and then they do the arms, and then they absorb the tail, and then all of a sudden they're a frog. And everybody loves tadpoles. So, but just the beauty of the area, you'll see, it's just a beautiful place to go right here on Econfina. So let's go ahead, Jeff, and roll this video. Welcome back. Glad you're with us again. I hope you enjoyed that video. It's just fascinating. Of course, the tadpoles themselves are fascinating, but that whole area, the whole 3 minutes there, I was very proud. Whitney is doing all that video editing and all. She's learned a lot from Walter. They're doing, this is their first year doing that kind of stuff, and I'm real proud of her. And you can see it's a beautiful place, but the photographer itself is really good. And they're not professionals. They're like me. They're amateurs and all. But I'm very proud of what they do with that. Okay. So I always watch Cast and Call every Sunday morning at 6:30 here on Fox 28. All right, let's take a look at our fish and game forecast brought to us by Mark Coward of Edgewater Beach Realty, 832-6000. We're going to get up with Mark and see how they did on a redfish tournament. But our time this morning, we're looking at 6:04 to 8:04, and then in the evening, 6:29 to 8:29. That's good. That's two excellent times, early morning and late in the afternoon. That's my favorite times to go. Now, we're going to talk about, we're getting into what I call pre-fall fishing and pre-fall migration, and it's not the fall yet, but we're right on the cusp of it. So I remember last spring we were all waiting for that water temperature to get up to 66 degrees, and I drew out this little chart. So this is a chart I drew out last spring. This is 2014, and we want that magic number. See how it hit there around April 3rd and how it started in January. Look how cold it was in January. It was 52 degrees in the Gulf water. Now this is just from, I've gone back to my notes and just made this chart from my notes each time. So now what I did last night, that was springtime. Now I've done what I call a pre-fall, late summer or pre-fall chart, and see. Now we start out in May at about 72 degrees, and in July it's peaked out about 84. Then we took a little dip there in the middle of July, dropped down to like 79 degrees, but that was just what it was, just one of those cold little arms coming off. We talked about that before. Arms coming off of a body of a warm pocket or a cool pocket, and it just protrudes in there. And then all of a sudden in July hit back to 84. Then August 86, and now it's in September. It's 88, 87. So what's going on? These fish, we're still up there. Now I'm going to do a fall one and start in September and October and November. I'll do that one next. We'll have our own little scientific record of what's going on. So I'm proud of that. And I share these things with my classes and try to explain to them. And they have no clue on migration, and they've never been told. But they're fascinated with it. What makes those mullet start going around in the bay, and then And speaking of mullet in the bay, now I've seen a lot off my dock recently, and I've had reports from other folks. They're seeing a lot of mullet in Choctawhatchee Bay and in St. Andrew Bay. And I don't know about Apalachicola. I haven't heard a report, but I guarantee you they're getting ready to come in their area too. So, but this water temperature, I made a list of what to do. I made what I call a pre-fall checklist and of things we want to do. Make sure we're getting ready for fall fishing, because we don't want to get up one Saturday morning in late September, early October and find something wrong. So I make a little checklist of first thing I do in the pre-fall checklist. I've written down cast net. I pull out my cast nets. Of course, I've already done this because I've been throwing it recently. And just check if any holes or anything on it. And a lot of times around that lead line, a lot of times it'll break a little bit, or you bring it over oyster shells, and you don't really know it until you really inspect it. You really don't inspect it while you're fishing. So you really just need to lay it out, spread it out, and just go through it like a fine-tooth comb. If you find something wrong with it, if I find something wrong with mine, a little tear in it, I'm going to take it to Bill McNeil over in St. Andrew, and I'll guarantee you he'll fix it. He'll fix it right. So that's one of the things to do. Just check your nets and make sure if you got a little hole, don't wait and go and get it done now. Get it fixed and get it ready for the fall casting season. Okay, another thing I wrote down was make sure if you're a pier fisherman. This sounds silly, but I always check on my surf rods and pier rods. Check those eyes and make sure they're set. They'll break off sometimes if you got any kind of ceramics on them. I like to go all metal if I can help it, but there's some really good rod people here in town. Ernie Cabot makes great rods, and these people can fix you up some really good eyes. There's a lot of modern eyes that you can cast and all off the pier and surf fishing. Also, freshwater fishermen. Now, don't forget, one of the big things there is just basically in late summer and springtime, twice a year, I try to just check my tackle box. I just open it up and go through it, make sure those hooks, you've got plenty of hooks, make sure that line and the line is, you want to get small diameter line, clear line, and because they can really see the color on it. So corks, all those little simple things like that. You want to make sure you get those, okay? So that's basically what I have down on checking everything. Of course, surf fishing, now you want to make sure you have those leads, and that's something I run short of. And I'll get out there sometimes and I say, doggone it, I don't have a large enough lead. I don't have a big lead because the surf's a little bit rougher than I thought, so I'll make sure I got my leads, and I got a small tackle box for the surf. So make sure, one of the best things for surf fishing is make sure you got those leads the right size, and make sure you have plenty of them because you do lose those leads. And also make sure, I'm starting to buy those several years back, just those pompano rigs all put together, all already done at the factory. Those work fine instead of trying to make all that stuff yourself. I just don't have time to do it, and it's a lot easier to just buy them like that. Okay? And we're going to talk more about that. We've got a big show lineup tomorrow, so as always, we appreciate you watching Panhandle Outdoors, and you have a great week. Get started off good with Panhandle Outdoors each morning, and have a great day. Do something good for your fellow man, and God bless.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.